Hello there, YouTube. This is Daniel Rosell, and you are watching Daniel Rosell Plus. This is a additional YouTube channel that I set up a few months ago because my main YouTube channel, which is just called Daniel Rosell, I know, not very imaginative, it's just too random. There's too many topics, and I have too many ideas for videos like this that just don't really fit in with the agenda of the channel. So I've been trying to work on just improving that channel in terms of its consistency, getting it centered around a few core themes, spinning out sort of discrete, topics into other YouTube channels. And then this YouTube channel, I'm just saying, if anyone does want to subscribe, or a word of caution, probably saying right now, maybe don't subscribe. This Daniel Rosell Plus thing I set up is for sort of the random videos that just don't fit under any of those umbrellas, really. Okay, so what I want to talk about today is amitriptyline and nortriptyline for functional dyspepsia and my experience with both. And I'm doing this because there really isn't a whole lot of information still out there on YouTube and the internet in general. For me personally, when I'm thinking about taking a medication, I haven't had to take that many medications in my life, but I've always found it comforting to watch YouTube videos, specifically when I was taking my first SSRI drug, which was Lexapro. Rather than reading what people said about it on Reddit, I found it very helpful to put a face to a name by watching someone talk about it on YouTube. So that's where I'm coming from in producing these videos. So yeah, amitriptyline and nortriptyline. I'm currently coming off nortriptyline, which is why at 4 a.m. on my local time, I am not asleep and speaking into a webcam instead. So I feel like I'm at the end of my journey, or at least my first time trying these drugs for functional dyspepsia. I was supposed to take nortriptyline. That was what my gastroenterologist prescribed, but there was a supply chain issue where I'm based, which is in Israel. So basically, because nortriptyline wasn't available, doctors were prescribing amitriptyline because it's the closest thing to it chemically. I understand they're really, really similar drugs. So that was why I started with amitriptyline for 3 months, and then I went over to nortriptyline. So having nortriptyline for 6 weeks, and I'm currently withdrawing cold turkey at my doctor's instruction. I'm not sure it's a great idea. He told me I could just stop taking 25 milligrams because I've only been on it and its sibling drug for 4 months. It's not wonderful, I have to say, the experience of coming off this medicine at the moment. I have a horrible headache. I feel kind of fluish. I'm having trouble sleeping. As I mentioned, it's 4 a.m. So I'm usually asleep at this hour, and I'm at that point where I'm just really tired but can't actually get to sleep. So yeah, withdrawal from these drugs is not amazingly fun, and it's probably better to do it slowly. Now, the reason I am coming off these drugs, firstly I'll talk about side effects and then maybe talk about benefits. Side effects for nortriptyline and amitriptyline, it surprised me that they were different. Nortriptyline, the one I'm just coming off now, the main ones for me were firstly sexual dysfunction, and I hate it feels awkward talking about this on YouTube, but for other guys taking this medication, I take Lexapro. That was the first medication I tried for functional dyspepsia. I got sort of talked into it by a doctor who said, yeah, Lexapro will fix all your stomach problems. My functional dyspepsia began after having my gallbladder surgery, as I've mentioned in a couple of videos on my other YouTube channel. And it's very much what's called postprandial distress. I just get bloated after eating or drinking. Abdominophrenic dyssynergia. The last time I saw my gastro, which was the first time in a year, he said I have abdominophrenic dyssynergia, and apparently there's a type of massage or biofeedback, that is being piloted in Barcelona of all places that might be helpful. So that's my latest lead to explore. But that's what I sort of the type of functional dyspepsia I have. It's a lot of bloating, it's fullness, it's burping, it's regurgitation. Kicked off after gallbladder surgery, and I guess the rationale for why my gastro is trying amitriptyline and nortriptyline is these drugs seem to have the best track record at just like resetting this gut brain connection that's like gone wrong in functional dyspepsia. So side effects. Okay, nortriptyline, sexual. I mentioned. I mentioned I was taking Lexapro because to say I had some pre-existing SSRI-induced sexual functioning issues, but with nortriptyline and amitriptyline added on top, it went from being manageable to like, let's just say it was not manageable, and I was hoping it would just go away, and it didn't. Basically. What else have I experienced with nortriptyline? I was sweating. I experienced really weird. I would go to pick up post or run, an errand, let's say, and I would just like break out into a sweat really, really easily, to the point where like my forehead was dripping sweat. It was gross. So that was really unpleasant. And nortriptyline also gave me like extremely dry mouth, what's called cotton mouth, I believe, like the driest mouth you've ever experienced. And yeah, that was not fun either. Amitriptyline, I put on a ton of weight really, really quickly, which was very annoying to just put on weight when you're like eating right and exercising, because it definitely did help with some of the bloating and GI stuff. So it was easier for me to exercise, but in spite of my exercise and diet, just getting like fatter and fatter, really, really annoying, and fatigue. And these are all like classic side effects for amitriptyline: weight gain and fatigue. So nothing unusual, but again, it was just like that was why I went to see my gastro again, because I was like, look, A, I haven't seen you in a year, and B, maybe tell me if nortriptyline's back and we can go on to this, because this drug sucks. And then I sort of felt that nortriptyline also sucked. So the dosages I took were nortriptyline at 25 milligrams, amitriptyline at 25 milligrams as well. So when I swapped over, I just did a direct swap, like no dose change, 1-to-1. Now, in terms of its effect on the stomach stuff, so it was really hard to tell how much it was helping. Firstly, if it was really helping, I wouldn't be saying that. It would just be obvious, wow, it fixed it. It did seem to help a little bit in terms of like the bloating. Like the bloating, I would say, was a bit less. Amitriptyline for sleeping was amazing, which I definitely think when you have a good night's sleep, that's in itself like really therapeutic to your digestive health. But the fatigue was very problematic, and I would find myself drinking coffee just to try like get work done on the amitriptyline, because it made me so drowsy, which then is bad for your stomach. So it just felt like impossible to work around these side effects. But yeah, I did feel like, and the one thing I would say is I'm getting nausea coming off nortriptyline. So I think that part of my FD was helping with. I don't know if this is just a withdrawal period I'm going through, or the nausea will come back. But I had a couple of drinks tonight because it was a World Cup final, and I've been drinking less. I would say this is like going to a bar twice in a week is more than I've done in like a long time because of the World Cup semi-finals. And now like the nausea is really hitting after just like 2 beers, which really shouldn't be a problem. So it seems to me, my sort of reading is that it was probably helping a bit with my nausea, probably helping a bit with reflux. I was find myself less refluxy burping. It did help, but it didn't resolve the situation, and it came at a high price in terms of those side effects I mentioned, in terms of sexual dysfunction, fatigue, weight gain. It just felt like a bad deal, basically. So I don't know what I'm going to try next. My focus right now is on getting off this drug, maybe getting down in Lexapro with my doctor's help and guidance, and then saying, okay, I've tried all these different medications. Nothing's been wonderful. I'm only on one drug now, so hopefully it's easier to try out different drugs. And what's the next thing we could try because these weren't great really. So yeah, I can't say it was a positive experience trying amitriptyline, nortriptyline. I'm definitely glad that I don't want to say got it out of my system, but like they're very much the classic drugs for FD. I get the impression personally they're much more helpful for people with the pain variant than was the bloating variant. When I look in my FD group and on Facebook, and I haven't really looked at it in a couple of weeks, but I see a lot of people, saying, "Oh, I have a lot of pain, and amitriptyline's a miracle drug." I had no pain, so I was a bit uncertain if it was really these were the right drugs for the bloating type. But I go to a very experienced gastro, and I'm sure he had his reason for wanting to try these drugs at least. So yeah, that's my sort of summary anyway. If you've tried these drugs for your functional dyspepsia, especially if you have like me, the bloating type, I'd be really interested to know in the comments or shoot me an email how it helped you. If it didn't help you as well, did you find something that did help? Because I'm going on 3 years living with this, and trying to not let it take over my life, but also like really hoping that I will figure this out through whether it's biofeedback, acupuncture, diet, all of the above. I do have a feeling I'll get to the bottom of it, but unfortunately, amitriptyline and nortriptyline, I was hoping these would be sort of the relatively no side effects, low dosage, sorted out, but they haven't really worked out for me, I would say. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to get more totally random videos on incoherent and unconnected topics, do subscribe to this channel or check out my main YouTube channel, which is just as I mentioned called Daniel Rosehill.